All right, good afternoon, everybody. We are live here from Buffalo Wild Wings here in Pell City, Alabama. This is the Hayden Coker Show live, brought to you by Lance Bell. That is Senator Lance Bell. Appreciate all he does for the show. But we're live from Pell City. This is the Hayden Coker Show. Appreciate everybody joining in tonight. Basically what we're doing all year, college freaking football. College football all year long. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, a bunch. No short of it. We've got some games going on right now. You've got South Florida and Boise State right now. South Florida up 17-7, and Boise State, a ranked G5 team. They are the only ranked Group of 5 team, or Group of 6 team, I guess if you want to call them right now. But they are the only ranked Group of 6 team. So I'm curious to see exactly how they work out this year. Quarterback Maddox Madsen. Obviously, you lose Ashton Genty. They're losing right now to USF, though. But I'm not going to sit here and slight USF. USF is pretty decent. Quarterback Byron Brown, he's already made some really nice plays today. So I'm pretty curious to see how they do tonight. If they hold on to this lead or, Boise State driving right now, 1st and 10, just past midfield. We've got the game on here at Buffalo Wild Wings. We have Jacksonville State and Central Florida playing tonight as well. That game tied 0-0, currently in a weather delay. But regardless, guys, we've been having a good time, man. I have eaten some wings here tonight. Had a few technical difficulties earlier, but we got through them. I've got a sweet tea to my left, and I'm enjoying myself. But right now, man, it's time for some football, so let's go ahead and dive into it. We're going to go into the biggest games of the afternoon later today, but for right now, I want to go into the HCS Power 12. So what the HCS Power 12 is every single week throughout the season, the HCS Power 12 will be released, and basically what it is, it's my top 12 teams essentially. Basically what this is a preview of the college football playoff, what it would be today. So what would the playoff be like today? Obviously, I'll leave out the G16, okay? So I'd go straight Power 4. If the playoff started today, obviously we'd add in the G16 later. But right now, this is my top 12 teams. So let's start from number 12. We have South Carolina. South Carolina is a team that goes without mention, okay? You look what they did last year. Obviously, you have a few losses in the wide receiver room, especially in Joshua Simon, who was their tight end last year, their star tight end. You lose him, he's a massive loss. You can't lose guys like that and just bounce back at the same exact position, because Simon, he wasn't a guy like Brock Bowers, but he was somebody who could certainly get it done at a consistent level on a week-to-week basis. So while you do lose Joshua Simon, you still have Nick Carver in that wide receiver room who can sort of act like a tight end the way that he is built. Rasul Faison, I believe he's a running back transfer from, I believe it was Utah State. So he comes in. He actually gets cleared from waivers just a few weeks ago, or I believe it was this past weekend, to be honest with you. So you return some pieces. Defensively, you still got a few key pieces as well. So obviously you lose Kyle Kennard, but if you look at it, look at the other defensive end. You got Dylan Stewart. Dylan Stewart is not a bad dude at all. This is a guy who can change the game tremendously. So I think that Dylan Stewart is another guy on that South Carolina defense who can change the game for those guys. Now, whether that happens this year or not, whether they make the playoffs, I don't have them making the playoffs. But if they want to make the playoffs, Dylan Stewart is going to be one of those guys that steps up tremendously. The interior defensive line, questionable, but we'll see how that works out this year. But yeah, that's South Carolina. Moving on to number 11, we have the Illinois Fighting Illini. So Illinois returning a bunch of starters this year, double-digit starters, returning a bunch of them on defense and offense as well. So I'm very, very curious to see how this Brett Bielema-led team does this year. Now, obviously, Illinois and South Carolina, they faced off last year in a bowl game. Guess who won that game? Illinois. The Fighting Illini, they won that game. So this is a team with top 5 in college football in returning production. So I'm high on them. I think they're going to do good. I think they will do good. Now the question is, do they have what it takes to make the college football playoff? My simple answer to that question is no. Defensively, they're going to be there. They're good. Offensively, I think that's the question as well. So I'm really curious to see how they do. You have Altmaier coming back as a quarterback, transferred over from Ole Miss a few years ago. So Luke Altmaier will be there. He's one of those guys that can transform the game. You got a running back, your starting running back transferred over into Georgia. You're down a running back, but So, all right, you're bringing some guys in. The main problem here is how is that offense going to run now? So I have them at number 11. I think they're going to be a solid team. Are they going to make the college football playoff? My simple answer right now, no. Coming in at the HCS Media Power 12, we have Miami. So the Miami Hurricanes coming in at number 10 in the HCS Media, or in the HCS Power 12. Miami is one of those teams that I think can get it done. And this week, their matchup against Notre Dame, which is being played this weekend, I think that is huge. Saturday night, I believe 6:30. That's going to be a massive matchup for both teams. Earlier on, I was all Notre Dame. Up until recently, I've strictly gone with Miami. Now, I haven't necessarily picked Miami straight up yet, just quite yet. But over the last few weeks, I don't know. I'm starting to lean more toward Miami. We got a prediction coming later in the show. I'll tell you exactly what I'm thinking on that topic. Coming in at number 9, we have Oregon. Dante Moore stepping up as a quarterback there, transferred over from UCLA a few years ago. UCLA, by the way, another team that's kind of down in the dumps right now. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But when it comes to Oregon, I think is going to be pretty daggone good this year. You got Dante Moore coming in. I think he's going to be fantastic. The one thing about Oregon that I am concerned about is their wide receivers. If you looked at what their wide receivers were last year, Trayshawn Holden. Now you've got Trayshawn Holden, one of those guys that I thought could make a difference. Evan Stewart coming back. A few other key guys coming back that I think could play a key role in that Oregon offense. The only questionable thing is, and something I learned about last year, is banking on Oregon. Oregon was a good team. Oregon was a phenomenal team. They made it to the playoffs. They didn't win a game in the playoffs. They made it to the playoffs. First year in the Big Ten, they win the Big Ten championship against Penn State. And what was a really good game, offensive shootout. And then you go to the playoffs, first round, you get bounced by Oregon. All right, guys, I apologize for the technical difficulties, but we are back live here from Buffalo Wild Wings. A few issues with our camera. Sorry about that. That is on me. That's my fault. We had some technical difficulties earlier. It seems like those are going over to today, or right now anyways, in the broadcast. That's fine. Stick here with us. We're going to be live until around 7:45-ish, 8 o'clock. We've got a lot to talk about. I was talking about Oregon. Oregon is number 9 in the HCS Power 12 right now. Moving on, we have number 8, LSU. I have LSU in coming in at number 8 tonight in the HCS Power 12. Now, this will come out each week, obviously, but right now I have LSU at number 8. So, thinking about LSU, let's go over LSU right quick. So, my main concern about LSU, we've talked about it for a few years now. I'm going to take a sip of the sweet tea in Buffalo Wild Wings because I'm really thirsty. All right, so moving on. And Jerry White will comment on that here in a little bit. I've got predictions on Notre Dame. We've got Alabama. We've got Ohio State, Texas. We've got a bunch of predictions lined up for you guys. So don't worry. We're not going anywhere on that. We'll come back to it. But anyways, LSU. And this is what I'm really, really concerned about, but Durham. Hayden Durham at the running back position. I have faith in the guy. He's a young guy. I think he has a lot of energy. I think he runs with a lot of how would I say this? I say horsepower, I guess is what you want to call it. But he's a really, really solid dude. My question for LSU this year, are you going to be able to run it at all? Now, last year we looked at it. You can listen to Cole Kublik talk about it on Jogs. He'll rant about it for hours. They didn't necessarily try to run the ball last year, and it kind of bit them in the ass. Now, what I'm really curious about this year, sorry, Edith, my grandma was watching. I do apologize for that. But something I'm really curious about this year, obviously, run game. So if Durham is able to run the ball, then I'm sold. All right, give me LSU playoff bound. There's a high possibility this team makes the playoffs. Okay. Now a lot of people are saying that they will make the playoff. I'm hearing that. I'm hearing SEC championship game. I haven't heard SEC winner yet, except for one guy, and that's Barrett. What's his name? Barrett. I can't remember his last name. He's a radio guy with he's a radio guy now with the Braves. But anyways, so I'm curious to see, are some of those predictions going to come to light? Garrett Nussmeier is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Best quarterback in the SEC. One of the best quarterbacks in the country. Can he make that leap? And when I mean make that leap, look at how he was last year compared him to how he was this year. Now, at times, yes, he's throwing the ball 40 times a game. He's going to turn the ball over. That's just how that works. Unfortunately, it's how it works. It's how it's going to continue to work if they decide to throw the ball 40 to 45 times a game because they can't establish any type of ground game. That's just how that's going to work. Defensively, golly, man, I'm really curious to see how Harold Perkins is going to fit into this defense. Okay, we've seen it for years. He's been really good. He's a phenomenal player. He's a phenomenal athlete. The only problem, so where exactly does Harold Perkins fit in? You've seen him line up on the edge. You've seen him go to middle linebacker. You've seen him bounce around. All right, the guy is really, really good, and he's got the size for somebody who can line up as a nickel. I know I'm not playing when I say that. This is the guy who can line up and come off the edge and line up as a nickel as well. So Harold Perkins is a straight dog. Whit Weeks as well at the linebacker position, another phenomenal athlete, another phenomenal player. The thing for LSU this year is putting it all together. Last year, LSU was one of those teams that, well, they could have made the playoff. They had the players to do it, but in the end, coaching bit themselves in the butt. It did, and I hate to say it, I really, really do, because I think that LSU this year, they have what it takes to make the playoffs and maybe even more. So we'll see how that goes. Coming in at number 7 in the HCS Power 12, we have Alabama. Alabama is one of those teams that I think by the end of the year could be at tops 3 or 4. Okay, I don't see them winning the SEC championship game. In fact, I have how do I say this? I've got a commitment pick of who is going to win the SEC. So I'm going to pull the old commitment pick with a hat on. By the way, USF just scored and extended their lead against Boise State, 23-7. Byron Brown, a 15-yard touchdown. Anyways, Alabama's one of those teams that can make that jump this year. Okay, last year not necessarily a phenomenal year. First year under Kalen DeBoer. I get it; it's different. Kalen DeBoer coming over from the Pac-12 at the time. Now it's not even the Pac-12; it's the goose egg. But I'm really interested to see what happens this year. Kalen DeBoer, it's his second year. He's got a new offensive coordinator in Ryan Grubb. Ryan Grubb was his offensive coordinator at Washington, was going to be the offensive coordinator last year. Things fall through. He's not the offensive coordinator last year. So it's just one of those things where last year, if you can do this, 6-7 right here, you can do this all you want to, but you can't reverse it. You can't reverse it. Now we're on the 2025, 2026. Ryan Grubb's the offensive coordinator for Alabama. What's going to change this year? Well, let me tell you, Jalen Milroe's not there anymore. Jalen Milroe was very inconsistent last year. There was times he looked like he was a Heisman winner in the game versus Georgia, and there was times where he didn't look so good in the game versus Michigan. So I think this year it really just depends on quarterback play. Ty Simpson has a chance to be phenomenal, okay? Very phenomenal. But if you look at it, Ryan Williams is there as well. Ryan Williams is a guy who can help Ty Simpson out. Okay, Ryan Williams is one of the best wide receivers in America right now, as well as Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State. But Ryan Williams can help take this offense to another level because, one, you have a quarterback who's for one, I believe that Ty Simpson is probably going to see the field a little bit better. And two, I think he's going to be more consistent and he's going to be more stable inside the pocket. So I'm really curious to see how that works out. Defensively, they're still going to be really good. So I'm excited about this Alabama team this year. All right, week 1, guess who you've got? The mean Florida State Seminoles. So do you win that game? We'll go over it a little bit later. I've got a pretty good prediction for you. So we got some guys commenting in the Facebook comment section. Justin Lindsay says, sounds good, roll tide. Jarrett Smith says 10 wins for LSU. Alabama's a one-loss team and potentially. So, man, like I said, Jamarius Borden chimes in and says, wishful thinking, but I want Florida State to win for my early birthday present. And Jamarius, you are the only reason that I want Florida State to do something good in that game. If it weren't for you, you and my friend Michael Cothran, if it weren't for you, I would throw it all out the window. But anyways, moving on to number 6, we have Notre Dame. Notre Dame, new quarterback this year in C.J. Carr. Jeremiah Love still going to be there. Notre Dame's one of those teams that it's going to come down to quarterback play. You have a guy who's coming in. I think, from what I'm seeing, from what I'm hearing, he could be one of those guys that has a better arm than Riley Leonard did. He can come in here and he can transform this Notre Dame offense. Now you're going to have a better wide receiver room. So I'm really curious to see, is that offense going to be transformed? If not, then they may be in trouble. But it's all going to depend on C.J. Carr and how he plays. Coming in at number 5, we have Georgia. I've got the Georgia Bulldogs going to get number 5, Gunnar Stockton, quarterback for the Bulldogs this year. Number 4, Penn State. Number 3, Clemson. Number 2, Ohio State. And number 1, Texas. So rounding out the top 5, number 5, Georgia. Number 4, Penn State. Number 3, Clemson. Clemson, one of those teams that I think they return enough production offensively and defensively that they are going to be extremely, extremely scary. And I wouldn't be – if I'm any team in the Power 4, I don't care if it's the SEC, I don't care if it's Alabama, I don't care if it's Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, whoever it is, you don't want to face Clemson because they're one of those teams that can come and smack you in the daggum mouth. So I honest to God think that Clemson, although being in the ACC and although all the notable stories and everything and what people are saying about Clemson, this is a team that can really win it all. This is a team that returns a production to win the national championship this year. This is a team that can do that. And I don't really think people are paying attention to that as much. Jaden Colley chimes in and says, Auburn versus Baylor will be a quarterback battle. Can Sawyer Robertson make big plays against Auburn's D-line versus Jackson Arnold? The unknown run group execute consistently. And Jaden, I think that's a really valid point. I'm going to answer your question here. So with Baylor, I think it's really important offensively as well. But Sawyer Robertson is one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. Now I get it; people can say Big 12, SEC. Are they really going to compare the two? Well, guess what? I'm comparing them right now because Sawyer Robertson is one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. I think he'd be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC if he was there. I think he's phenomenal. He played a really good game last year against LSU. This is the guy. Turnovers, yeah, he threw for 8 interceptions last year, a few fumbles as well. So if that's going to be a problem early on, that might be a problem for Baylor. But here's the thing: look at Baylor's schedule, and I'll pull it up here in a little bit for everybody else. But if you look at Baylor's schedule, they have an easy, or not an easy schedule. Those first 2 games, Auburn and then SMU. So you have 2 out-of-conference games for Baylor. That's a pretty strong non-conference schedule for the Baylor Bears. Now, if they can put it together. Now, hold on now. I'm going to say it one more time for everybody who maybe be struggling a little bit to listen to this. If they can stay consistent, if they can manage it, if they can manage the schedule, if they do it properly, Auburn and SMU, those first 2 games of the year, because after that you got another non-con, then you jump into Big 12 play. The Baylor Bears have a chance to go to the college football playoff this year, and I absolutely mean that with all seriousness. Shepard Merritt says, "Proud of you, buddy. I appreciate it, man." Justin Lindsay says Auburn has a pretty good running back. Damari Alston, he's good. Jeremiah Cobb, he's good as well. Then you also have another transfer who came in as well. Auburn's running back room is good. I just don't necessarily know about it right now. I have to see more after week 1. But going back to it, and this is where I want to kind of transition into next week's games. And I'll go into the sponsors here in just a second, and I'll take a break. But the thing with Baylor, offensively, their wide receivers are good. Okay, I wouldn't say they're better than Auburn's at all. I think Auburn with Singleton and Coleman and guys like Perry as well and Simmons, I don't see them. I just don't necessarily see the wide receiver room as better. Running back room, it's debatable. I think they're pretty even there. Quarterback, I'd give the edge to Baylor. Okay, defensive line, then I think it's a little bit of an issue. Defensively, it's a toss-up. So you can say all you want about this matchup. Go back and forth on offense. Go back and forth on defense. When it comes down to it, it's going to come down to coaching. And I don't necessarily think that Hugh Freeze is there yet. I just don't. Still 174 LLC is a construction company out of Steele, Alabama, brought to you by Daniel Welch, Bobby Welch, and Dawson Welch. Are you going to build your dream home yourself? All you need is some wood, nails, and 47 trips to the hardware store and a miracle. You don't really want to do that, so you can call Steel 174. Steel 174 makes the process easy and enjoyable. They build custom homes and buildings without the duct tape, swear words, in the awkward moment under the walls if they ever don't line up. Now, swear words is debatable. I know Bobby Welch. Sorry, Bobby. YouTube can't build that house for you, but Steel 174 can. Still strong, still reliable, Steel 174. Those guys are absolutely phenomenal. So you can go to Steel 174. It's a Facebook page. So go to Steel 174 on Facebook. Bobby Welch, Daniel Welch, Dawson Welch. Those guys can get it done for you. I promise you, I have some experience with them. They're phenomenal guys. They're phenomenal dudes. Daniel, fun guy to eat Shaw's barbecue with as well. Justin Lindsay comments, Vandy versus Virginia Tech. Who do you think will win? Justin, I'm about to get to it. Jaden Colley says Baylor's defensive back group will have to play spectacular to stop Auburn's wide receiver crew. And Jaden, I kind of agree there. And now I see another comment from you, Jackson Arnold. It's all going to come down to him and Auburn's coaching. So defensively, Auburn's going to be fine. DJ Jerkin's a phenomenal defensive coordinator. Last year I had questions about him. I'll say that every time I mention him. I had questions about him early on. Now he's kind of proven himself, and I'm like, okay, I think DJ Jerkin might be pretty good for this Auburn Tigers football team. Last year, defensively, they were a bright spot in this football team. So I certainly think that's going to come down to Auburn's defense. But you look at coaching and you look at quarterback play. Jackson Arnold's got to be sound. Defensively, Auburn's got to be sound. And Hugh Freeze has got to be calling plays. He's got to be calling his butt off. He's got to be calling plays like his life's on the line. So I certainly think that it's going to be a fantastic game, one of the best games of the week. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say that. You can call it bias. I really don't care. I think this is going to be one of the better games of the weekend. I won't get to see it. I'll be calling games in Georgia, high school football games. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to listen to. I'll have it on ESPN Plus. So I think it'll be fun. Anyways, starting off, Justin Lindsay, we're going to go into Virginia Tech versus Vandy. So Virginia Tech versus Vandy, not Virginia Tech versus Vandy, Virginia Tech versus South Carolina. Virginia Tech versus South Carolina. That's going to be a fun one week one. Week two, then it's Vandy, I think. Yeah, then you have Vandy week two. But South Carolina versus Virginia Tech in week one. That'll be one of the more interesting, notable matchups of the weekend. So I think that South Carolina wins this game. And this is in Atlanta. South Carolina is a small favorite. So this will be interesting. But South Carolina favored by 6.5, 7 points. And I think they cover that, honestly. I think they cover it. I think this is going to be a game that's around 20 points. I think that South Carolina pulls away in the end. So that's where I'm standing there. Next up, we're going to go Nebraska and Cincinnati. So Nebraska and Cincinnati are playing tonight, actually. Nebraska and Cincinnati playing in Kansas City, Missouri. So this is one of those games. It's sort of an odd non-conference game. It's Nebraska, a really good team in the Big Ten. Cincinnati, we'll see what's going to happen in the Big 12. Brendan Sorsby, pretty good quarterback for Cincinnati. I think he's a fine quarterback. We'll see what happens tonight against that Nebraska defense. We all know how gritty they can be. But I'm going with Nebraska there. I think they end up covering pretty good. Now, if you look at them offensively, look what they did last year. They seemed like they would stall out at times. So I'm curious to see if they take that leap, if Matt Rule kind of instills another fire under this offense. So if that happens, I can certainly say that Nebraska wins this game. And I think they do win this game. But you have personalities out there like Josh Pate who were saying that Nebraska has a chance to make the playoffs. Look at their schedule. They do, because they've got 2 or 3 games where they can slip up, and Michigan is one of them. So they get Michigan at home here in a few weeks. Moving right along, we have Jacksonville State versus UCF. So Jacksonville State versus UCF is taking place right now in Central Florida, in Orlando. So that game is currently under a weather delay. Jacksonville State scored on a fumble. They recovered a fumble, picked it up, and took it to the house. They reviewed it for targeting. That was the last I saw of it, and from the looks of it, it looked like targeting. But we know how college football referees can be. So I don't know. But I'd like for Jacksonville State to win. I'm going to take them in that one. Next up, we have Texas and Ohio State. So a lot of people think that Texas and Arch Manning may be the reason that Texas goes far. I'm going to tell you one thing right now. I think that Texas's defense, led by Colin Simmons, is going to be the reason this Texas team goes far, and they would end up winning a certain conference. I'm going to wink at you and give you a little suspense there. So who they're going at. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. Texas, the Longhorns are going to win this game. The Longhorns are going to win this game against Ohio State, and they're going to win the SEC. So give me the Horns. This is no horns down moment. The Horns are going to hook them tomorrow or Saturday night anyways, and they're going to win the SEC this year. So give me Ohio State, give me Texas and the Longhorns. And Ohio State goes down week 1, but they bounce back. Ohio State will be really good this year. The Jack State game is delayed right now, Justin. Anyways, so Texas over Ohio State. Now, Alabama versus Florida State. Alabama currently favored in this game by 13.5 points. This is going to be a fun one. So I really like this matchup here. Does Alabama, now minus the 3 starters, are they still able to keep this game? Are they still able to cover the spread? And I'm going to tell you right now, I think they do. I think they cover the spread if they have all 3 of their starters, or that are missing anyways. Let me just tell you this real quick. Alabama has improved. Okay, you get some transfer portal gets, okay? That's not what I'm worried about. I'm talking about the offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb. He goes to the Seattle Seahawks last year after being with Alabama for, 3 hours? So he goes to Seattle. Then he comes back this year. He's like, you know what? I miss it, man. Grass ain't greener on the other side. He decides to go to the NFL, comes back to Alabama. So he's in Tuscaloosa now. And I think that Alabama, and don't judge me for saying this, Auburn fans out there, Alabama has a chance to win the national title this year. They're that good. That they can straight up do it. Now, early on in the season, Jam Miller being out, yes, it does hurt them. I don't think it is as much of a loss as a lot of people say. I think they'll be fine. Defensively, I think they'll be fine. I'm just curious to see how Florida State responds. Thomas Castellanos had a lot to say in the offseason, how Nick Saban's not there anymore, he can't save them. Well, guess what? Now it's a little bit of a different time. I don't necessarily think that that Florida State of all teams right now is going to be the team to beat Alabama. Now we've seen stranger things happen. Look at what Jacksonville State did a few years ago. They go into Doak Campbell, they beat Florida State on their home field. This is not one of those situations. Florida State's not a group of 5 team, and it's just not that way. But still, Florida State is not necessarily a top 3 ACC team right now. I'd go Clemson, I'd go Georgia Tech, and I'd go Louisville, right? Or Miami, sorry. I'd go Miami as well. So they're not necessarily that top 3 ACC team right now. They've got a lot of building back to do. And it'll happen. It'll happen over time, but Mike Norvell's got to get it underway. Gus Malzahn, and we know the history between Alabama and Gus Malzahn. We all know that. And Roger Allen says you're the man. Roger Allen, you're the man. I really appreciate that. Justin Lindsay says our defensive line wants to take care of that trash-talking quarterback. I understand. Castellanos makes a lot of Alabama fans mad. But at this point, if you're Alabama fans, I think you laugh. I don't think you're necessarily as mad as you are, just happy. She's just happy. I think you should be dying tears of laughter right now, tears of joy anyways, because I don't necessarily think that Florida State is one of those teams that's going to get it done at all. And Castellanos running his mouth like he has been, it certainly is not something that that Florida State needs. So I've got Alabama. I'll take Alabama by 3 touchdowns. Close in the beginning, Alabama pulls away. Syracuse and Tennessee. Syracuse and Tennessee is going to be one of the better games on Saturday, I do believe. Tennessee is a 14-point favorite right now. And let me just go ahead and tell you, Steve Angeli, quarterback for Syracuse. He played in the college football playoff last year when Riley Leonard went down. So I think it was against Penn State. It was Penn State, I think. Regardless, though, Steve Angeli can facilitate an offense. We saw it in that one drive that he did play against in the playoff, whoever it was against. So I remember watching it happen. I just don't remember exactly who it was against. Tennessee, on the other hand, Tennessee has a little bit more to prove. Tennessee loses their quarterback, so they lose Nico Iamaleava. They bring in Joey Aguilar. UCLA and Tennessee basically traded quarterbacks. So this is going to be interesting to see how Aguilar performs this year. Aguilar, he's had turnover problems in the past at App State. And in his 2 hours at UCLA, I'm not sure what all he did over there. I'm sure he got a few practice rounds in. But now he's at Tennessee. I'm curious to see exactly how he does this year with this. It's a new offense, and we've seen this before. Or I say we've seen this before. We've seen transfer quarterbacks come in and do well in this Tennessee offense. Look at what Look at what Hendon Hooker did under this Heupel-led team. Okay, this is not, and I get different offensive coordinator at the time. Now he's a head coach at USF, who's beating Boise State right now. So, by the way, USF is putting a smackdown on Boise State right now. 13 minutes left to play. They're winning 30-7 against Boise State. So I'm not sliding Boise State, but I am saying that USF looks really, really, really good right now, and that's due to turnovers and the offensive play. But yeah, so Tennessee, I think Tennessee wins the game. I'd say they win by 10. Justin Lindsay says, I hope Mississippi State does good. I feel bad for them. But I can't lie. I don't think they're going to do good this year. Jared Smith says Florida State got a lot in the portal, but not enough. I agree there. Jamarius Borden chimes in, says, I love my Noles, but Tommy is making a mistake poking the bear with the Tide. I do believe so. Joseph Brewer says, Bama 0-1. Catherine Colley says, you can't cut Florida State short, man. What? Gus Malzahn, offensive coordinator at Florida State. Thomas Castellanos. Those are the two names you need to know. Those are the two names you need to know right now. Look at how Alabama's been in the past against Gus Malzahn and a quarterback that can run the ball. I'm not saying it happens. I don't think that Florida State upsets them, but I think that they could give Alabama a little trouble early when it comes to the RPO game and all that. So just be on the lookout. Now let's go to Auburn and Baylor. I talked a little bit about this game earlier. I have a prediction here coming up here in a few minutes for you. I think that defensively, Auburn, I think defensively is going to be fine. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I've got the final score of this game, 27-20. A defensive battle, and Angel Diaz, owner at Nicocetus in Asheville, he is going to be absolutely ticked off at me when I say this. But I've got the Baylor Bears, man. I'm going to Baylor Bears. I think Baylor wins this game 27-20. I think they get it done on the offensive side of the football. And defensively, I think they get a late turnover. I think Jackson Arnold will probably be a little careless with the ball and throw a pick or two. And Baylor's going to win this game. Baylor starts out 1-0. And then for Auburn, you kind of have to turn around. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? Who are we? Is it going to be Deuce Knight that comes in after that or no? Now, I know how everybody feels about true freshman quarterbacks. But here's the thing. Deuce Knight, Hugh Freeze has said it himself. I think Hugh Freeze is a little higher on Deuce Knight than he is Jackson Arnold. So Deuce Knight, he has come out and said himself, is a freak. He's an animal. He hasn't necessarily said the same about Jackson Arnold. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. Is Deuce Knight going to be a starter at some point this year for this Auburn team? We don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that fares off. So we'll see. I don't think it'll be too big of a problem right now anyways. Obviously, that's something that they will have to worry about a little later on in the season. So we're moving on. So, yeah, Auburn, sorry, you got a week 1 loss. Then it's time to move on. So Baylor gets the week 1 win. You face SMU next week. Now, Auburn, you get a week 1 loss. You get 2 cupcakes. Then guess who? You got to go on the road to Norman, Oklahoma to take on the Oklahoma Sooners. And John Mateer, a guy that some people are saying may win the Heisman. Some people are saying may lead this Oklahoma Sooners team to the playoffs. People are going to be screaming, Boomer, Sooner in Norman. So what exactly is going to happen with this Oklahoma team? Well, Auburn going into Oklahoma, that's just a recipe for disaster. I've got Oklahoma winning that game. Now, that's when Auburn, I think, drops to 2-2. And then you've really got to do some soul searching. You've really got to do some digging. Now, if you've seen how I predicted Auburn's season to go so far this year on Facebook, I put it down on Facebook. You've seen it there. I have Auburn going 8-4. I have Auburn as 8-4 with losses to Baylor. I have them losing to Oklahoma. I have them losing to Alabama. And then I have them losing to, I can't even remember who I have them losing to otherwise, but I have them going 8-4. I have the schedule here. I'll look at it here in a little bit. But I have Auburn going 8-4 this year. So if Auburn is one of those teams that can legit just get a win in week 1, then I think the speculation around, hey, how is this season going to go for the Auburn Tigers is just absolutely insane. And Jaden, I actually have Auburn beating Georgia, and I'll kind of tell you why here in a little bit, or I'll tell you why right now. I think that Auburn at home, it'll be more than likely be a 2:30 game. I think that Auburn at home, they're coming back from a road game against Oklahoma. I think you have a chip on your shoulder. Everybody's kind of counting you out. I think that's when you get that 1 win. And Georgia's a 2-loss team in my opinion. I think that Georgia was a 2-loss team in my opinion. Now I looked up and I'll get the Auburn schedule here pulled up. But I have Georgia losing 2 games this year. But when it comes to Auburn, it's going to be Oklahoma that they lose to. It's going to be Baylor that they lose to. And then I think they lose to Alabama on the road, Alabama at home. And then I think they get one more loss this year. And that's going to come in the middle of the season. And I'll tell you who in just a second. Because you have Texas A&M on the road too. You have Auburn. That's the loss. I think that Auburn loses on the road to Texas A&M right before the Georgia game. So exactly, Jaden. And this is what I'm kind of worried about for Auburn. Is if they lose week 1, dude, you have got to turn around. You've got to turn around somehow, because you cannot sit there and just play the same ball you did in week 1. Now, I know no team does that, but when it comes to Auburn, it's really got to be some sort of turnaround that's just miraculous, because I don't think they can do it. I don't think they can do it quickly. And that's why I think Auburn gets off to a slow start. You get 2 wins after the Baylor loss. Then you drop one to Georgia. Then you drop one to Oklahoma. Then you drop one to A&M. I think you win out till you get to Bama. And that's when I think the trajectory of Auburn's season and all the drama, all the gossip around Hugh Freeze losing his job kind of dies down. So I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see what actually happens from there. But that's what I have right now. Baylor will beat Auburn to start the season. Missouri right now playing Central Arkansas, and Bo Prabula, first touchdown pass for the Missouri Tigers was a 46-yarder to Marquise Johnson. So how about it for Missouri? It looks like they found their quarterback possibly. I know that they're going to play both Bo Prabula and Sam Horn tonight, so it's going to be interesting to see if they stick with Prabula. Sam Horn going to come in the second half, but by then I don't necessarily know if you can even grade it, because our Central Arkansas starter is going to be in, our Missouri starter is going to be in, so I don't know. I don't think you can grade it like that. Anyways, this is the Hayden Coker Show live from Buffalo Wild Wings here in Pell City, presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. Senator Lance Bell, just an all-around great guy. I really appreciate him and everything he does for us, everything he does for the show, everything he does for the community of Pell City. So really appreciate him. Lance, thank you if you're watching out there. Jared Smith chimes in to Justin Lindsay, says he hoped that Fluff Bothwell, has an awesome year at Mississippi State. Now, yeah, and I'm all for that, man. I really hope DeMarion Bothwell has an insane year at Mississippi State. Really good year last year at South Alabama in the portal. Now he's at Hail State. So really curious to see how Jeff Levy and all the crew over there, they kind of facilitate Fluff Bothwell into this offense. Levy's an offensive mind, so I think it goes pretty well for him there. So now moving on, ladies and gentlemen. First, I want to tell you a little bit about Steel 174. Whether it's a dream home or workspace, something in between, Steel 174 builds it right. Still strong, still reliable, Steel 174. You can follow Steel 174 on Facebook. That's Bobby Welch, Daniel Welch, Dawson Welch, all those guys behind the scenes. They've got some more workers as well working behind the scenes too. Jamarius Borden chimes in, says, I believe Georgia loses to Florida this year, 7-8 wins for the Gators. Jamarius, I'm going to go ahead and chime in on that. I think you're correct, my friend. I think that DJ Lagway is going to be the difference maker for the Florida Gators this year. Now, I'm going to go over some massive games, and then we'll get out of here. I'll get out of y'all's hair. The first 6 weeks of the season, I'm going to go over some massive games, and with that, we'll have playoff implications no matter what. So first off, I'm going to go Vandy, South Carolina. I think that South Carolina, and this is here in a few weeks, but I think Vandy, South Carolina, here in a few weeks is going to be one of those games that South Carolina's got to really bear down on. They've got to anchor down, no pun intended for Vandy. South Carolina's got to anchor down, and Lenore Sellers have to show off. This is a Vandy team, and everybody's heard what Diego Pavia is saying this year, that the national championship is a standard there. I get what he's trying to do. I love what he's trying to say, but stop it. You know what you're doing. But now it's just different, man. I think that South Carolina wins that game. Vandy's a little different. Vandy, I think, is one of those teams that comes in with a chip on their shoulder. They've got a lot to prove. They've had a lot of talking going on this year, or in this offseason. So I think that'll be a massive game. You have Michigan and Oklahoma here next week. It is. That's going to be in Oklahoma, in Norman. So I'm really excited about that one as well. Then you have Clemson at Georgia Tech. That's going to be another week 3 game that's going to be massive. A&M and Notre Dame. That's a big one. We all remember what happened last year with Notre Dame and Texas A&M. I thought the Texas A&M was going to win that game. Turns out they lose it. It was close in the first half. They didn't really do anything second half. 23-13, I believe, was the final score. And Notre Dame just got the best of them. Now you have to go to South Bend, Indiana, so it's even harder. So LSU plays Florida week 3 as well. They play host to them. Auburn goes on the road to Oklahoma in week 4. That's going to be a fun one. You have Michigan playing Nebraska on Nebraska's home field, so they go to Lincoln, Nebraska there. Florida at Miami, another really, really fun game. That's going to be in week 4. Keeping it going in week 4, we have Illinois and Indiana. So some more fun games going on. Texas Tech at Utah. So another one there. And Utah is one of those teams in the Big 12 that I don't think you can slip on. I don't think you can sleep on Utah at all. I think he's going to be really good. Devon Dampier, a quarterback transfer from New Mexico State to Utah. I think he's going to transform that team. And keep in mind, guys, Kyle Whittingham is one of the better coaches in college football, and he's still there. He's still in Utah. Keep that in mind. And by the way, if anybody's looking for an update on the Braves, well, they're losing 15-4 right now to the Philadelphia Phillies. So they're not doing too hot. Anyways, Bama at Georgia. That's going to be a fun one week 5. You have Oregon at Penn State, another fun one. Ohio State at Washington. Washington, one of those teams that I think is silently flying under the radar. Damon Williams, and I think that's going to be one of those quarterbacks that, once again, like Washington, is flying extremely high under the radar right now. He's going to be a really good quarterback, but people aren't really talking about him. Go look at the tape. I think he's going to be really good this year. So Damon Williams for Washington this year, he'll be good. LSU at Ole Miss, another good one. Then you've got Illinois. So Illinois is one of those teams that I talked a little bit about earlier. A bunch of returning production. But are they going to live up to what they were last year and maybe even possibly even more? I don't think that this Illinois team is going to make the playoffs. I don't think they have that firepower offensively. Defensively, I think they'll be good. Offensively, I think it's where they're going to really struggle. You have Altmaier coming back. I think he's going to be good. He's been good in the past, so I think he's going to be pretty dadgum good for this Big Ten team this year. But when it comes to Illinois, I just don't necessarily know if they have what it takes to make it to the Big Ten game or win the Big Ten at all. So I don't see them doing that. I don't see them making the college football playoff. It just aren't on my radar when it comes to the playoffs right now. But while they're in the HCS Power 12 right now is because of what they returned. We haven't seen them play yet this year, and that is why they are where they are. So now once we see them play, maybe that changes. This is all based on what we haven't seen right now, obviously, because we're in week 0, okay? So haven't seen many teams play. Notre Dame at Arkansas. This one's going to be played in Fayetteville, Arkansas. That's going to be a fun matchup now. I get it. It's Arkansas, but you're traveling on the road to Arkansas. This is the time of the year where odds are Arkansas is not going to be playing for anything. You're going to be playing for an upset at that point. Now we've got to take a sip of the Buffalo Wild Wings sweet tea right here, so give me a second. Now, I hope that you're not having to hear that on my microphone. But that's going to be one of those games that I think is silently, well, I say silently, I think that nobody's talking about that might be a really, really good game by the end of the year. And this is going to lead me into the Notre Dame and Miami game here in just a few minutes. But Kansas State at Baylor late in the year or middle of the year, going to be a fun one. Boise State at Notre Dame as well. So that's – and earlier in the night, I had this written down. So I wrote this game as a notable game throughout the season earlier in the night. Well, now I look up at the scoreboard, and I see I see South Florida beating up on Boise State 31-7 right now. Byron Brown is legit, and this USF team is going to be one of those group of 5 teams that's in the conversation to make the playoffs. How's that going to go? We don't know. It's week 1. Everybody can make speculation. Last year, Georgia Tech beat Florida State, and everybody was saying, wait, hold on now. Georgia Tech has a chance to make the playoffs. Because they did. They start their year out in week 0 with the week 1 win. So it's a little bit different. I understand that that's not on everybody's radar right now, but I don't know. I would say watch USF this year and pay attention to them because those are the big daddies of the group of 5. Now, moving back into this weekend, Miami, the Hurricanes of Coral Gables, taking on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So this is going to be in Coral Gables, in Miami. Carson Beck transfers from Georgia into Miami. Now, this is going to be one of those games on Saturday night that I will be staying up for. I get it's a 6:30 game. A lot of people say, "Hey, you know what? I'm in bed by 9:30. I'm getting drunk on my milk and cookies, and I'm going to bed." That's the PG version, anyways. But now I want to shift focus, man, because I'm not going to be doing that. Okay, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be dialed in. I'm going to be watching this game. I'm going to be up on Sunday. I'm going to be watching the tape, the highlights of not each and every game. I have stuff to do, but this is going to be one of those games where I will be up, not necessarily studying, but I'll be breaking this one down heavily. So even after the game, Notre Dame. Defensively, they're going to be sound, okay? New defensive coordinator. I really like what they are doing on the defensive side of the football. Now, Notre Dame, one of those teams that I mentioned it earlier when it comes to offensively. Let's just take a look at them for a second. So C.J. Carr, excuse me about that, but C.J. Carr, just a fantastic athlete, okay? When it comes to his arm, when it comes to him being the quarterback, okay? We know what he can, we know athlete, whatever. He's a starting quarterback at Notre Dame. And he can run. Okay, he's an athlete. What can he do this year for this Notre Dame team to take them to a level that they weren't necessarily on last year? Notre Dame was a good team last year. They were not the second best team in college football. I don't care that they made the national championship game. I don't care that they lost to Ohio State at the end of the game. I don't care, okay? Notre Dame was not the second best team in college football last year. In the playoff, yes, they played good, and I was very high on Notre Dame. I loved watching this Fighting Irish team. But they just weren't there, okay? They didn't have that X factor offensively. They just didn't. No matter how you want to twist it, they didn't, okay? Riley Leonard was one of those guys. Yeah, he could throw the ball a little bit. The guy mainly wanted to run the ball first. And, yeah, that works, but a lot of it when it's quarterback draw, and even if it's a quarterback run, but it's just spiced up a little bit, it just doesn't take you all the way. In today's league, in today's college football game, in this league, you've got to be able to throw the football. That's just how it is. Look at how Alabama was 15 years ago. Look at how they are now, okay? Look at guys like Glenn Coffey back in 06, 07, 08. Look at guys like Mark Ingram in 09 and 10 and 11 for Alabama. Those guys were they were named because Alabama ran the ball a lot. And they had dudes, Derrick Henry, okay? There were certain guys for Alabama offensively that took them to a different level. Alabama adjusted to the times. Why do you think that Alabama is the dynasty they are today? Okay, you can call it the end of the dynasty all you want to. Maybe the end of the Nick Saban dynasty, okay? The Nick Saban era is done. I wouldn't say the Alabama dynasty is just completely over. I wouldn't say that at all. To me, when it comes to a dynasty isn't just winning national championships. Does winning national championships come with a dynasty? Absolutely. But just because you win a national championship, you miss a year or two, it doesn't mean you're out of it. And I'm not an Alabama fan. I'm just strictly saying that that's how a dynasty is, okay? So I don't know. I'm not saying that they're out of that dynasty era yet. So call me wrong, call me a Bama fan. I don't care what you call me. It's just not how that works. Jarrett Smith chimes in, says Miami wins 38-35 against Notre Dame. Now, Jared, I really, really like your pick. And to everybody out there that's picking Miami, I really do like y'all's picks, and I do appreciate everybody chiming in. This is one of those games that for the last few weeks, or last few days anyways, I have, and ever since the beginning of last season, I've been like, you know what, I think Notre Dame is going to win week one just because of who they have coming in. Well, now I think it's a little bit different of a story. The way that I see this Notre Dame football team coming in tomorrow night is, you know what, I think they're going to punch Miami in the mouth a few times. I think that Miami is going to punch Notre Dame in the mouth a few times. It's in Coral Gables. It's sold out. I don't necessarily see foresee see Miami as one of those teams that has like just a fantastic home field advantage. They don't sell out the stadium a lot, but this is a massive game. And I'll be damned if I'll be damned if Miami doesn't sell out the stadium when Notre Dame is coming to town. Everybody remembers Notre Dame at Miami, Catholics, convicts. That's how it was. Notre Dame, the Catholics, Miami, the convicts. This was something that they called it back in the 90s. So I think that in order for this rivalry to continue to be fantastic, tomorrow it's got to be a great game, okay? This is a rivalry game that has not been played in years, and then now we get it. We get it on a fantastic level. So who wins the game? Look at Notre Dame offensively. Jeremiah Love is going to take this team to another level. But Miami, man, they've got Carson Beck, okay? I get it. You redefine the defense, I get it. But Notre Dame's still Notre Dame. I'm taking the Fighting Irish tomorrow night. I'm going to click my pen that the wonderful lady here at Buffalo Wild Wings given me. I'm going to click my pen. I'm going to say that Notre Dame wins tomorrow night. Notre Dame starts off the year 1-0, and they continue their year. They will make the playoffs this year. I do believe they will make the playoffs. And keep in mind, guys, HCS Power 12 coming out each week, so we're going to have that adjusted week in and week out. So so trust me, guys, we're not going to go anywhere. Next week, we'll add the G5 team in there, G6 team in there, along with the 11 P4 teams. So I'm really excited about it. Notre Dame, where do they end up? They're not going to end up at, I said they end up at 4, man. I said they end up at 5. Where are they going to end up? I have them ending up at 5 in the HCS Power 12 at the end of the year. So the college football playoff, my prediction, I have them just outside, or excuse me, right at top 5. So I'm really excited about it. So I'm excited for it. I hope everybody else is excited for it is excited for it as well. But this is college football, baby. Joseph Brewer says Catholics versus convicts. He accidentally he said I'm gonna let that comment sit there. I'll let it sit on my screen. But anyways, Joseph, I know you're old, man. That's what they called it back in your day, dude. All right, so Jared Smith, it's either way. I just think that Miami gets it done in the end. And this is one of those games that'll come down to the end, I think. I think that Notre Dame gets the win. But Miami has grown on me over the past few days. And I'm not leaning towards Miami. I'm just saying that they're growing on me a little bit, man. And I'm not necessarily sure why. Maybe I'm getting that feeling for a reason. Maybe Miami goes out and they win the game. Maybe they shut Notre Dame out. Maybe they beat them. But I don't necessarily think they will. I've got the Fighting Irish Saturday night. I think they win that game. Now, what's going on for Hayden Coker this year? Friday nights, unfortunately, I'm not calling football games in the state of Alabama. No. I'm calling football games, high school football that is, in Georgia right now for Haralson County football. It's really fun, man. I really enjoy it. I'm with Graddick Communications in Georgia. So that is where we are at right now. JT Stevens chimes in, says, proud of you, kid. I highly appreciate you, JT. Appreciate everybody chiming in the comment section. So everybody chiming in, everybody tuning in, thank you. That's what I'm doing right now. You'll see more of these live videos. We'll be coming to you live from Buffalo Wild Wings. Not necessarily sure if we'll be here every Thursday throughout the college football season. We will see. We're still working through some kinks and technical difficulties and what all we can do as a program. But, guys, this is the Hayden Coker Show, all right? This is the Hayden Coker Show. I promise not to let you guys down, and I will do my very best week in and week out. Auburn, 8-4 this year. Alabama, 11-1 this year. That's how we've got them going. I see Georgia is a 2-loss team. Texas, I see them losing one game. That's a cakewalk schedule, okay? Arch Manning, how's the guy going to do this year? Who's going to be my Heisman pick for the year? Who will be my Heisman pick? And I actually haven't really thought about this too much, but I've had one guy in mind all year. And this is why I think that Oklahoma's going 9-3. Let's take a look at John Mateer from Oklahoma. John Mateer from Oklahoma is one of those guys that gives this Oklahoma Sooners team an X factor. Now, you get guys like Jaden Auden. You return Deion Burks at the wide receiver position. But John Mateer is one of those guys that ended up in the Heisman finalist conversation last year. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but late in the year, the guy was top 10 in the Heisman finalist voting. Okay? So let me just say this. John Mateer, Heisman winner. Maybe he doesn't win it. That's up for you to decide. We'll see how it goes. Jared Smith, and that's me talking, okay? Maybe I'm drunk off the sweet tea, as Mr. Joseph Brewer likes to call it. But that's what I'm saying right now. I've got John Mateer. He'll win the Heisman in Oklahoma. We'll go 9-3 this year, okay? For now, this has been the Hayden Coker Show, brought to you by Lance Bell, Senator Lance Bell, that is. So Senator Lance Bell, we really appreciate all he does this year, has done this year for us. He's a phenomenal dude, so I really appreciate him and all he's done. So, and if you need help, if you need anything, Lance Bell's the guy, okay? Now, Lance Bell is one of those guys that you can sit down, you can have a genuine conversation with, and you won't feel judged. Lance Bell's one of those guys you can sit down, you can shake his hand, and you can have genuine conversation, whether it's family, whether it's your troubles or whatnot. I sat there and talked to Lance Bell for, 15, 30 minutes last week. I sat in his office. We spoke to Ersten Funderburg too, but talked to Lance Bell for a solid 30 minutes. And anybody that doesn't know that guy, I highly, highly, highly recommend going to meeting him somehow, whether it's reaching out on Facebook, just getting in a conversation with him, because I know he loves conversation. But yeah, that's my take on Lance Bell. I think he's a great dude, and I think that anybody would be lucky to meet him. So this year, the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by Lance Bell, Senator Lance Bell, be live, Buffalo Wild Wings, Pell City, and I appreciate you guys for joining me tonight. I hope to see everybody here in the future, every Thursday night, 7 o'clock, the Hayden Coker Show. You better not go anywhere, okay? If you do go somewhere, I'll find you. I'll hurt you. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not bad. But Joseph Brewer says, I'm sipping the sweet tea tonight, and I hope you guys have a great night. I really appreciate you for joining in. You have a fantastic weekend, a fantastic Friday. Nebraska is going to beat Cincinnati tonight, so go ahead and lock that in, okay? Jacksonville State comes back, and they beat the University of Central Florida. So that's it for me. This is the Hayden Coker Show, live from Buffalo Wild Wings, presented to you by Senator Lance Bell.